Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am trying out a bunch of new luxury beauty products. So I picked up a bunch of products during the Sephora VIB sale, and I also had this like collective luxury beauty haul where I picked up a bunch of products when I was away in Vancouver for a few weeks. So I have the Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. I have a Peau Quad in the shade Coral Reef. I also picked up the Haus Labs foundation. I have a Peau lipstick, the Makeup by Mario, a bunch of blushes that I have picked up. I have like over 5 different blushes. I'm not going to try them all on, but I obviously will try them on in different videos. You guys can let me know which products you want to see next. But if you want to see me try all these new luxury beauty products and see my final thoughts on these, because I have been testing these over time. These are not first impressions. I just truly like to give products a good old test before I actually review them. I think then you can get the best knowledge on whether these products are going to actually work for you or not. So if you want to see my thoughts on all these new luxury beauty releases, just keep watching. So I'm going to start off with the eyes, and you recently saw that I hauled a bunch of new Peau eyeshadow quads. I have the Ocean Sunrise, I believe that is. It's like the deeper, beautiful matte palette. I also picked up Coral Reef and then Sand Dune, I believe. So I'm going to use the Coral Reef shade today. I know that one of my subscribers, Diana, did request me to use this in a video, so I'm going to go ahead and try this one out. I actually have not, this is one of the only quads I have not tested out. I'm going to start off with this beautiful primer shade. So the primer shade in all these Peau quads, it is placed right there in the palette. And it is this beautiful texture. It almost is, it's like a spongy sort of texture. It doesn't feel quite like a cream, even though it is classified, I guess, as a cream eyeshadow. It's not a typical cream eyeshadow that you'd think that's kind of like a moussey product. This isn't moussey. It almost feels a little bit more foamy, if I could say. So I'm going to pick it up on this Refer 02 brush. I'm just going to apply this to the eyelid, just as a base, and this is a really soft shimmery shade. This one is a bit, it's like a rose gold tone. It's really, really pretty. So I'm just applying this all over the eyelid, a little bit of a sheen, but it's not any sort of chunky shimmer particle that looks tacky or anything. These are very sophisticated. One of the most beautiful eyeshadow formulas on the market. Truly nothing like these Peau eyeshadows, which is why I have so many of them now. Love this formula. So again, starting off with that primer all over the eyelid. I am bringing it a little bit into the crease as well, just because I do find that the shades that you apply over top, especially these powder shades, they just blend way easier. Not that these are hard to blend at all, but just for a little bit more ease of application. And then I'm going to take this Refer 01 brush, and I'm going to dip into this shade here. It's this matte kind of, it's like a dusty rose shade. And I'm just going to pick up that product, get a little bit of that excess product off on the back of my hand, and then apply it to the outer corner of the eye. And then I'm going to bring that through the crease as well, just slightly. These seriously blend so easily, so you barely require any effort when you're applying these sort of shadows. So gorgeous. I'm going to take this BK Beauty, this is a 204 brush. I'm going to dip into this deeper shade right here, and this one does have a little bit of a sheen to it. I'm going to apply that as an eyeliner, so going right up against the lash line from the outer corner inwards. I'm not going to go all the way to the very inside corner though. I'm going to leave it a little bit blank there, just because it closes off my eyes a little bit if I take that color all the way to the inner corner. I'm just someone who has very small eyes, so I need to be a little bit careful with these sort of shades. So pretty. I really like that so far. And then I'm going to go into the last shade, which is this shimmery shade here. I'm going to go back into that Refer 02 brush. I'm just going to take it on the other side of the brush. I'm going to apply that all over the eyelid. This was the shade that I was most excited for. It looks so beautiful. Like when I swatched it, I feel like this would be a gorgeous one and done shade. So pretty. So pretty. It's like the most beautiful taupey brown shade. So pretty. And it has a very sophisticated sheen to it. There are no chunky glitter particles or anything like that. Truly so elegant. I'm going to go back into this dusty rose sort of matte shade, and I'm going to use a Refer 03 brush, and I'm going to bring that along the lower lash line from the outer corner, and I'm going to take it inwards as well, making sure to connect to that outer upper corner so it all flows together. And then I'm also going to dip into this shimmery brown shade, and I'm going to run that across the lower lash line as well. I'm going to go over that Dusty Rose shade. I did go in with mascara. I went in with my Dior 3D Lash Maximizer. I also went in with the Gucci mascara, and then I topped it with the Westman Atelier I Want You mascara. I don't know why I just went in with this combination, but I think my lashes look nice. I just wanted to show you the color story of that Clé de Peau quad. So we have that light, it's kind of like a, I don't know, a dusty rose sort of matte shade. Then we have that beautiful bronze. It's a very beautiful neutral tone though, with just a gorgeous sheen. No chunky shimmer particles, just that beautiful, elegant reflection. And then we have that beautiful, it's like a really light peachy pink. It's almost like a champagne shade with just a hint of pink. And that is that primer shade that's that putty sort of texture that has just a little bit of a reflection to it. Again, it's not chunky or anything. And then we have that beautiful, it's like a deeper brown with a hint of purple in it. So this is called the Coral Reef Quad, but like I said, I don't think it's very coral in tone. It leans more towards like the dusty pink side. It's just very beautiful, and I like how the eyes turned out. But I'm going to move on to the face, and I do have this Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. I picked it up in the shade 3. So this is a multi-use product, and I really like it for that purpose. You can wear it underneath your foundation as a primer. You can wear it over top of your foundation as a highlighter. You can mix it into your foundation if you want to thin out your foundation. Say you have a super full coverage foundation and you want a little bit of a sheen. This will add a little bit of a reflection. It's not ultra metallic, but to me, it's not a product I would wear on its own because it is a little bit too metallic to wear all over the face. Like if you wore this all over your face, especially on like all over your nose and the front of your cheeks, you would look very shiny and you would look a little metallic. So, and I have tried it. I wore it to the gym and I was like, wow, I look like the Tin Man. This is a little bit too much to wear. And it doesn't look natural, like because you're so shiny. So for this sort of product, I do like to just use it on the outskirts of my face. I do not like to apply it to the center of my face because even though this product does blur, it has a little bit of a perfected property to it. It definitely is not, like it has a little bit of coverage, I would say. It's very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I kind of want to show an example because I do think these products are very similar and I would use them for a very similar purpose. So the Charlotte Tilbury, again, is something that I wouldn't use all over the face. I would just apply it to the high points of the cheeks and stuff like that because it can look a little bit metallic on its own. And then the Dior, you're not going to be able to see this, I don't think, because it's just going to blend into my skin tone. But I would say the Charlotte Tilbury, they're so similar, honestly. It's hard to detect the difference, but the Dior shade is a little bit warmer in tone. This is the shade number 3, I hope I said that. And the Charlotte Tilbury is the shade number 4. I would say the Dior shade is a little bit warmer in tone. And I think that the Charlotte Tilbury would probably work a little bit better if you have more dry and mature skin. The Dior Forever one, it dries down a little bit better on the skin. Where the Charlotte Tilbury, it doesn't remain tacky or sticky. I do find this eventually dries down, but it has a little bit more of an emollience to it, where this Dior one, it does dry down on the skin. So it's not gonna be tacky. You're not gonna get your hair stuck in it or anything like that. Even though I don't find the Charlotte Tilbury one does that either. I would just say for mature, dry skin, I'd probably recommend the Charlotte Tilbury one more, and the Dior one might work better for combo skin. But again, it's not a product I would use all over the skin because it's just going to be too metallic. It's going to emphasize pores right in the center of the face. Even though, like I said, this does have a bit of coverage, it does blur the skin. It's not going to blur pores if you're applying a metallic product to the center of your face. That's just kind of how shimmery products work. So even though it has a little bit of a sheen to it, it's not a crazy sheen like, I did use the word metallic, but it's not metallic. I would just think it's a little bit too shimmery to use on its own because it does have that sheen property to it. But metallic was probably the wrong word to use. So this does have a sheen. You can use it in a more generous layer though. So sometimes with illuminators, like say the Chanel illuminator, I can't find it right now, but with the Chanel illuminator, I would only apply that in a very small area on the tops of my cheekbones. But with this Dior product, I can go like all across the cheekbone and be a little bit more generous in my application. I can even apply it to like the jawline. So let's just take a little bit of that excess product along the jawline. This is a product I would apply to the Cupid's bow. Normally I don't like to apply a lot of highlighter in that area. And yeah, it's just really pretty. Now I know a lot of people rub this all over their face. That's just not how I prefer to apply this product. Again, I think it's a little bit too shimmery to apply to like the center of your face. That's just a personal preference though. If you like sheen, if you like shimmer, you might not mind putting it on like the center of your forehead or on your cheeks. But for me, I just think it's a little bit too shimmery. It doesn't look natural. And I really like natural looking makeup, but if you have shimmer right there on your face and here, it's not going to look like natural skin, which is why I just like to apply this sort of product to the high points of the face. And you can apply it in that more generous area. The newest foundation I picked up is this Haus Labs Tri-Clone Skin Tech Foundation. And I have mine in the shade, I believe it is number 230. So I'm just gonna give this a good shake. I'm going to apply just a pump. Actually, I feel like a pump of product is too much for this. So I applied a pump, but I am not going to use that whole pump on my face because I feel like it might be a little bit too much coverage. And I'm going to go ahead and take this Shiseido brush. So I just like to distribute that foundation to the palm of my hand. I don't like to use the back of my hand because the back of your hand has pores and it will just absorb a lot of that foundation. Where if you use the palm of your hand, it's not going to absorb that foundation. And then I like to distribute the foundation evenly onto the brush. So I'm really getting it distributed evenly so that there's not foundation just in like one area of the brush. And then when you apply it to your face, you're gonna get just like a patch of foundation in one specific area. And then I'll just apply it all over the skin. I will apply, you can see I'm applying foundation to like the outskirts kind of first. Maybe like the middle of my chin and going outwards from there. I do not like to start foundation. I know a lot of people like to start foundation in the center of their face where they're a little bit more red, but I don't because I think that when you apply foundation there, it looks really heavy. Like when you're talking to someone in person, they tend to look at your nose and like the center of your face. So I like to go in with the minimal amount of product in those areas. So you can see I've gone all over the forehead and the chin and the jawline. And then with the remaining product, I'll go over my cheeks because I don't know, you go in with blush in that area anyways, so I like a little bit of that pinkness to show through, and then I won't require as much blush either. So that's just a personal preference again. And I like to just distribute it all over the face, getting an even layer. But I really am thinning out this foundation. And this is really pretty. It definitely has a blurred effect to it. Maybe not as blurring as like my Chanel Sublimage foundation, but it does have a blurring effect to it. But it's not a matte foundation. A lot of foundations with those blurring capabilities are more targeted on the matte side. But this would be a great foundation if you have drier skin because it is not emphasizing texture at all, not emphasizing any dryness on my skin. It is very, very beautiful. And I feel like this color match is really nice as well. That's really pretty. A lot of you mentioned this video in some of my blurring videos. A lot of you mentioned that this is one of your favorites. So I'm really happy that I have it on hand. It's definitely less expensive than some of my other favorite luxury foundations. So that's exciting that I have this to play with. And I'm curious to see how this will wear. I can leave something down below or maybe I'll even check in at the end of the day. But this is really pretty, this combination with the Dior and the Haus Labs. And again, I didn't even take that full amount, that full pump of product. I probably went in with half a pump. It really thins out on the skin beautifully. So half a pump lays beautifully on the skin and you can still see a little bit of skin texture through. Like I have a little freckle or like a sunspot here. You can still see it through. I do have freckles on my skin right here, like at the front of my face, and you can still see my freckles through. But I think that's really beautiful, and I like foundations to show a little bit of imperfections through so that my skin still looks like skin. So this is really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and move on to concealer. So I picked up another Givenchy concealer during the Sephora VIB sale. I picked up the shade N270, so it's a little deeper than the shade I had previously, just because I wanted a tone that would match my actual skin better so that I could use this all over my face and under the eyes for when I'm like going to the gym or something when I want to apply makeup just really quickly. I'm also going to apply this to the outer corner in this like uplifted shape. so that I can get a lift on the outer corner of my eye. And I like to just take, where's my brush, this Clé de Peau brush, and I will kind of move that concealer to be in a more precise line in this outer corner. And then I will blend it into the skin using my little sponge. I feel like I have so many new products to try. I can also do another trying new makeup video after this one. I also picked up the Patrick Ta. This is the blush duo, the Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duo in the shade Not Too Much. I think this did sell out during the Sephora sale. Basically everything I wanted at Sephora sold out before I could purchase it. In Canada, everything sells out so much quicker than the US. I'm going to take a little bit on this Sonia G mini base brush, get that excess off on the back of my hand, and I'm going to press this onto the cheeks. I love this formula from Patrick Ta. It is so gorgeous. This cream blush formulation is one of my favorites. I would say this one I really love when I want that more dewy effect, but I really love the Persona cream blushes as well. That's definitely better for like the spring and summertime because the Persona ones, they dry down a little bit better on the cheeks. They're a little bit more blurring, but this formula is absolutely beautiful as well. And I really like this shade because it's just such a natural blush from within. So I just applied that, and then I do like to go around the edges with a damp beauty blender just to make sure there's no harsh lines. So another product that sold out during the Sephora VIP sale was the Huda Beauty. This is the loose baking and setting powder in the shade Peach Pie. They did have the mini available, but it sold out in the full size, and it also, they came out with fragrance-free ones, and that sold out during the sale as well, which I really wanted. So I was a little bit bummed about that, but I did get the mini because I just thought the Peach Pie would be a little bit better. The Cherry Blossom shade I like, but I just don't think pink tones look that great on my skin personally. So it was just a little bit too pink and brightening for me. So I'm just gonna tap out that concealer to make sure there's no creases. I'm gonna take that peach powder onto this little sponge. So I like to dip it into my, this is a damp beauty blender. It is not wet. You want to make sure there is absolutely no water when you're doing this. I get up all that excess powder on the sponge, and then I will press this onto my under eye area, and I do not go like all the way up to where my little, there's like little lines underneath your eyes. I don't go all the way there. I just go into where I have the most hollowness under my under eyes and where I have the most darkness. And this shade, this is my favorite shade that Huda Beauty has come out with. If you are around my skin tone and you suffer from dark under eye circles, that's like my main concern when it comes to my skin. That's the thing I'm most insecure about. Definitely try out this powder. It is really, really good. It adds, it's like a slight bit of brightness, but I don't really like my under eyes to be bright. It just kind of counteracts that darkness a little bit more, and you get that really smooth, perfected look under your eyes. It's really beautiful. I completely skipped over the bronzer step, so pretend that I did not powder my under eyes. Usually I would go in with this step before. So this is the Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. So honestly, I've been wanting to try out this product for so long. A lot of you said it was very similar to the Chantecaille Anti-Aging Face Tint, that bronzing face tint that I absolutely love. However, I did like that there was more shades available in this. The Chantecaille one is beautiful, but it is very warm, and it only comes in that one shade. So I just thought this would be nice to try out, and I'm taking this on, this is a BK Beauty 101 brush. So I like to get a decent amount of product on that. You can always get off the excess, but honestly, this product is so light pigment, you don't even need to kind of tap off the excess product. This product I love. This is such a standout, but I don't think it's that similar to the Chantecaille Anti-Aging Face Tint. To me, this is a little bit more of an emollient product, I want to say. And this truly is a skin enhancer. I know that's kind of dorky to use the terminology that this brand actually called this product, but it truly is a skin enhancer. It is not a bronzer. If you're looking for a cream bronzer, this is not the product for you. This truly just gives your skin more dimension. It enhances your complexion. It makes your skin look even better. It just makes it look like, so sometimes when you apply a foundation, it just completely blanks out your skin. So you want to add a little bit of dimension back into the skin, which is where we go in with highlighter or blush or bronzer. But sometimes I find that a lot of bronzing products, there is just such a stark contrast between my skin and the bronzer. The bronzer is like 5 shades deeper than my complexion, and it can just be a little bit harsh. This is a great way to bridge the gap between those really deep bronzers and your foundation, basically. This is just going to look like your skin. you just have a little bit of bronze, a little bit of dimension to your skin, but it is not noticeable. And even though this is a little bit more emollient than that Chantecaille anti-aging face tint, this doesn't stay emollient on the skin. Like, it does eventually dry down. It's not going to be tacky. Your hair is not going to be sticking to it. So it's not like you have to wear your hair up in a ponytail. This is truly so skin flattering. I find that this product has like an ever so slight, it's like a little bit of coverage, I want to say. It's like a very sheer, kind of similar to that Chantecaille anti-aged face tint. So it does add that blurring capability on the skin. It is truly flawless. I think it is beautiful. But again, if you're looking for a cream bronzer that is going to add a lot of contrast to your skin and that is going to look like a bronzer, no, this is a very natural product. If you like natural looking makeup where it just looks like your skin is enhanced, your skin is more beautiful, this is the type of product I would recommend to you, because this is basically an undetectable bronzer on the skin. It is very lightweight, so gorgeous. So really happy that I ended up picking up that product. Now, because I have that Dior product on underneath the foundation, I don't feel like I need to apply a powder highlight. I feel like that will just be a little bit too much. This does have quite a bit of sheen to it in my opinion. So I'm just gonna go in with my blush. So I have so many different blushes that I picked up. I have the Lawless Make Me Blush Velvet Blush. I have the Surratt Le Rosee de Soir, the Artistique Blush, the Clinique Cheek Pop blushes, and I have the Grails Terracotta Blush. And I also have the Hermes blush. I have tried all of these on, and I definitely have my favorites and my, I actually like all of these. There's definitely not a bad color or a bad formula out of all the blushes that I picked up, but I definitely have the products that I really love the most. And I would say my favorite of the bunch is this Lawless Make Me Blush Velvet Blush in the shade Vintage Love. I just think that this formula is really pretty. This is also talc free. I'm trying to get a little bit better about using more natural products. And this formula I just think is really easy to use. It has like an ever so soft sheen, but it's so flattering on the complexion. Really, really love this product. I would say that's probably my favorite, but I really love this Surratt blush. Like, oh my gosh, this color, Le Rosee de Soir, and this formula is just the best ever. This Artistique blush is so beautiful. This gives you like, it's like your complexion, again, is just enhanced. You look a little bit more beautiful. This is almost like a blush slash bronzer shade. It's not super blushy in tone, but I think that this Lawless blush will go really well with this look. I feel like the Clinique blush would also go well with this look, so maybe I'll add a little bit of the Clinique one at the end, but I'm going to start with the Lawless one because this one has a little bit less sheen than the Clinique, and I already feel like I have enough glow with that Dior product underneath. So I'm just going to go in and apply this on the cheeks. Using this is a Ray Morris Deluxe Kabuki brush. So I always just press this into the cheeks. I'm not buffing, just tapping and pressing this in. Like, I just think this shade is so youthful and so beautiful. It looks like my complexion has a natural flush. This is kind of the color I would turn if I was naturally blushing. So I just think this shade is beautiful. Go a little bit across the nose, on the forehead a little bit. So, so pretty. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of this Clinique. This is the shade Heather Pop. It's so gorgeous. Take off that excess, and I'm just going to tap a little bit just in the middle, kind of on the higher points, just to get a little bit. Again, this has a little bit of a sheen. It's not a super crazy sheen. It just, the color is actually very similar to the Lawless shade. This just has a little bit more of a sheen to it, but they're both so pretty. So I feel like layered together, they're really gorgeous as well. And then for the lips, I'm going to take this Clé de Peau. This is the Rouge à Lèvres lipstick in the shade number 11, Triumphant Tawny. So this is definitely like a My Lips But Better shade. I'm just going to apply that on the lips. Oh, I did forget. I picked up the new Charlotte Tilbury, the Pillow Talk Fair lip liner. So I just picked that up, and I actually love this color. I like this better than the other Pillow Talk shade that she has. I'm not really into lip liner right now, so I'm just going to kind of lightly go over top of this lipstick. This is basically the same color as that Clé de Peau lipstick, honestly. Just go over a little bit. And then I'm going to, again, top it with that Clé de Peau lipstick. And as always, I like to just kind of rub that lip line around because I don't like products sitting on top of my lips. Not that that Clé de Peau lipstick sits on top of the lips, but I just like a more lived-in lip look. Like I almost like to take off a product. I feel like I have too much makeup on if my eyes are done, my cheeks are done, my lips are done. And then as a final touch, I'm going to take this M Cosmetics. This is the Portrait Mode Refining Setting Powder Sheer. I think it just comes in one shade. So I'm going to go in with this Sonia G. This is the mini cheek brush, and I'm going to take the M Cosmetics Portrait Mode Refining Setting Powder. This just says sheer on it, so I don't know if that's the shade name, but this just comes in one shade. It's basically a translucent powder. I'm just going to take a little bit on this brush, get off that excess powder, and just press it right where I want to blur the skin. This does have a really great blurring technology to it, so if you're someone that likes that blurred effect, this is a great powder, and it doesn't add any coverage or anything to the skin, so it's really nice if you just want to retain that coverage, you want to retain the color on your skin, but you just want to blur the skin. This is really beautiful. So this is the final look, and I'm going to go over everything that I tried out to give you my well-rounded final thoughts. These are products that I've tried out pretty much all of them more than this one time, so this is not a first impressions. The only product that was a first impressions was this Clé de Peau quad, but I've tried this formula before and I know how much I love it. I absolutely adore this quad. So this is in the shade Coral Reef. I think this is a beautiful, it's more of like a rosy tone palette, I want to say, but I think it's gorgeous. I love how my eyes turned out. It is so pretty. I usually shy away from these sort of pinky tones, but I'm actually really happy with how this turned out, and I think I'm going to be using this one so much. I really love the shade Beach Pebbles. That was the original shade I picked out, and I think that one still might be a favorite, but I don't know, this one's coming in close. This formula is beautiful. It is so easy to blend. It is so buttery. This primer shade just makes everything even easier to blend over top and easier to apply. The pigmentation of these is really beautiful. It is very soft. It's not, if you're used to like Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath eyeshadows, then you might not like this because this is very soft. This is very subtle. This is elegant makeup. This is beautiful in-person makeup. This is the type of makeup that just enhances your natural beauty and makes you look even prettier. It's just very naturally pretty, so I love these sort of things. They just, again, they enhance your natural beauty, and that's my favorite type of makeup. It's not going to distract, which, again, nothing wrong with Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona. That's just not my comfort zone. That's just a little bit too stark for my personal preference. So I like these buildable colors. I like this beautiful sheen that these products give versus like glittery pigment. Absolutely adore this. And then the Haus Labs foundation, I think this is really beautiful. If I were to compare it to any other foundation, I would say it's the most similar to the Clé de Peau Cushion Foundation. They both really remind me of one another, the coverage level, the amount of radiance to it. However, I do still think the Clé de Peau is just like an elevated version. Like there's nothing like it. So I feel like it's really hard to compare. I think they're the most similar, but I still think I prefer the Clé de Peau one because it's just like, how do you get better than that? But I would say if you are on a budget or you just don't want to spend that much money on a foundation, they're definitely comparable. They have that same kind of blurring technology. They have the same amount of coverage. I just prefer personally how the Clé de Peau one wears all day long, but this one is truly beautiful, and I think you can get a similar effect, and this is really lovely. Like, I think my skin looks really pretty. It doesn't look like I have heavy makeup on. It doesn't look splotchy anywhere. It doesn't look heavy or cakey in any area. My skin still looks like skin. I can see freckles peeking through. It's really beautiful. Definitely more of a medium coverage that's buildable though, so not something for like there's no makeup days. It's not makeup-y on the skin, but it definitely doesn't look like you have no makeup on, if that makes sense. And then this Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. I really enjoy this, and I want to quickly, again, talk about the difference between the Charlotte Tilbury one, because I actually went outside and I tried these on my hand because it was kind of hard. It's just hard to see the actual difference when you're in a room with natural light or artificial light. So I wanted to go outside and really look at them in the daylight. So the Charlotte Tilbury is actually more subtle. I've heard a lot of people say that this is more subtle and less metallic. It's not. This is actually much more shimmery than the Charlotte Tilbury. The Charlotte Tilbury one has a beautiful sheen. It looks more glossy on the face. It doesn't dry down as much as this Dior one. This Dior one dries down on the skin pretty quickly, where the Charlotte Tilbury one stays a little bit more emollient on the skin. Although it is a little bit more emollient, it doesn't get that effect where your hair sticks to it because I just don't like that. But this Dior one is definitely more shimmery. It's like, basically very noticeable how much more shimmery this is. This one also has more coverage than the Charlotte Tilbury one. The Charlotte Tilbury is more like a sheer coverage, so you still get that perfecting effect, but it's just more sheer. This has like, I want to say like light coverage, so you get a bit more of that perfecting effect. They're both very beautiful and blurring, but this one just dries down and it does have more shimmer to it than the Charlotte Tilbury one, which is just more glossy on the skin. And the Charlotte Tilbury one is a little bit more silver. There's a little bit more silver pigment to it, where this one is very warm leaning. They're both beautiful, and I feel like they're different enough that I like having both in my collection. And I just think that this looks really beautiful on the skin. I did not need a highlighter over top. That's how much shimmer it has, I guess. It's not like super shimmer, like you can't see detectable shimmer particles, but it's not something I would apply all over the face. Like you definitely don't want to apply this in the front of your face, like right here on the center of your forehead, because I think it is too shimmery and it won't look natural. It will look like you have like something shimmery on your face if you're wearing it all over your skin. So for that type of look, if I want that no makeup vibe and I'm using this sort of product, I would only apply this on the high points of my face, and I'd use something like the Chanel Water Fresh tint all over my skin to get that blurred look, and then use this over top as a more highlighter product, but it still has that skin tone to it, so it's going to give you a more perfected blurred effect on the skin. It's still really beautiful, and I really, really like this product. It's definitely different than the Charlotte Tilbury one, and it's not something that I'd apply all over my face, but I really, really like this product. I feel like it sounds like I don't really like it. I actually really love this product, and I've been using it a lot. It's just something that I use in more specific areas as a more highlighter product. I also want to mention the blushes. This Lawless blush is so underrated, and I think this color is beautiful. This formula is beautiful. It has just the right amount of pigment. It has the perfect just texture to it. It's very velvety. It feels a little bit more like hard pressed, I want to say, but it's so easy to apply, so easy to blend. It looks so beautiful on the skin. I love this color. Very similar is this Clinique Cheek Pop in the shade Heather Pop. So gorgeous. I really like this formula. It is a baked product, so these types of products just melt into the skin really beautifully. This does have a little bit of a sheen, but it's not shimmery. There's no detectable shimmer particles by any means. This is truly gorgeous as well. One of my favorite new products. I can't believe I had tried one of them out, but it was a coral shade, so I didn't like it as much. But this formula is it's so beautiful. If you haven't tried these out yet, it's so cute, and it's just a product that I think is really lovely as well. My favorite might be this Surratt in the shade Le Rosee de Soir, the Artistique blush. So I'll have to try it out on camera so you guys can see it. But this formula, it's one of those products that applies like a powder, melts into the skin like a cream. It looks so skin-like and beautiful. So I wanted to mention those quickly. And I do really like this M Cosmetics Portrait Mode Refining Setting Powder. I still prefer the Clé de Peau one. Like, there's just nothing like that. But I would say if you're looking for something that is less expensive, this M Cosmetics is probably the next best option. It gives a very similar effect. The Clé de Peau one is just a little bit more refined and beautiful on the skin. It looks a little bit more, I don't know really how to describe it because it is just a powder, but there's something just more elegant about the Clé de Peau one, but I still think this is absolutely pretty. The price difference is quite significant between the two products, and you can get a very, very, very similar effect with this M Cosmetics one. So if you just want to save a little bit of cash, this is a great option because there's not like a huge difference. It's just like a subtle difference that maybe I can only tell the difference. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference in person, I don't think. Maybe it's just me. But really, really like that. I also really love these Patrick Ta duos. You've heard me talk about these. Don't love the powders as much just because they're quite heavily pigmented, so you need to be really careful when you're applying them. But I really love the cream, and I wish he sold them individually. I think, oh no, the Clé de Peau lipstick. Love this formula. It is so good. I don't even need a lip liner with this sort of product because it goes over the lips just so perfectly. It melts right in. It's not a heavy lipstick. It doesn't sit on your lips. And it just gives enough coverage, but it's not too much coverage where it feels heavy. I really don't like feeling heavy lipsticks. I like things that are lightweight, and this is a lightweight product. And one of my favorite products, the last one that I want to talk about, is this Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. It's an all-over warming complexion tint in the shade Light Medium, and that's exactly what this is. It really just gives your complexion, it really enhances the skin, makes your skin look even better, but it is so subtle. This is not something that will replace your bronzer if you're actually looking for a bronzer. This is truly a skin enhancer. It basically is like the Hermes powder, the Healthy Glow Mineral Powder, where this isn't technically a bronzer. I would classify this more as a skin enhancer as well because it's not really deep. As you can see, it's just like the touchiest bit deeper than my skin tone. So it just really enhances my complexion. And that's exactly what this Makeup by Mario does. It perfects the complexion, gives a little bit of a blur. It makes it just really, it's so great because it adds that dimension back to your skin without a heavy contrast. So you just get that really subtle definition on your skin where your skin just looks healthier. You just look more beautiful. I really, really love this. It's probably one of my favorite products that I tried out of everything. Probably this, the Peau, and the blushes, and the Dior are like my stand-up products. I really liked everything I tried though. Like makeup, there's not really bad makeup products that are coming out. So do you absolutely need everything that I tried out? Of course not. But these are all just really great quality products, and I'm really happy that I picked most of them up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.